We used to believe that genetic disposition was set and locked in at conception, but new scientific discoveries have clearly proven that the DNA blueprint of life can be switched on or off by both environment and individual lifestyle. These changes may be reflected at various stages throughout a person's life and even in later generations. The science is called epigenetics, and its discoveries are transforming the way we look at behaviors. Genetic science is not new, but epigenetics adds an element to the scientific discussion that cannot be ignored. Epi literally means above. Epigenetics means above genetics. Let's review our Biology 101 material. Our bodies are made up of trillions of cells. In fact, scientists have confirmed over 30 trillion. We know that in each of those microscopic cells there's a nucleus, and inside the nucleus is where chromosomes reside. Inside the chromosomes is where genetic information is stored in DNA. DNA is locked in and set at conception and becomes the blueprint of life. These blueprints control and lock in a lot of who and what we can become. DNA information determines our height, eye color, most of the physical attributes, and even some of the personality characteristics we may exhibit. The other part of who and what we will become is determined by the packaging around the DNA. Biologically speaking, the packaging or regulatory proteins around the tiny molecules called methyl groups and histones can switch off the gene and keep it from acting according to the plan. Epigenetics is the study of those potential changes and how they can be passed to our children in addition to the DNA itself. It's like the DNA is recognized as the blueprint, as the plan, but the methyl groups and histones are like sticky notes placed on the blueprint, suggesting not to execute this part of the plan. Simply said, over time, certain circumstances in life can cause genes to be silenced, turned off, or become dormant, or genes can be expressed, turned on, or become active. This can best be seen in identical twins. Imagine if two identical twins were separated at birth for 3 decades. One lived a charmed life in a great environment with no major emotional trauma, had plenty of access to food, shelter, lived a healthy lifestyle, had a good job, and very little stress, while the other was just the opposite. Malnourished as a child and lived with abusive parents, addicted to tobacco and alcohol as a teen, and still smoking in his 20s and 30s. Loses his wife in a car accident, and his job is highly stressful. If we stood them side by side after 30 years, we would definitely see some clear differences. More importantly, there would be long-lasting changes at the epigenetic level. The blueprint, that is the DNA code, would remain untouched and identical to their twin sibling, but the higher level cellular activity would alter the way some of those genes would have expressed themselves. This change could be permanent. Epigenetics and what CRI is doing in the trauma-informed space is critical in understanding that not only would the epigenetic change have an impact on the life of each of the twins, but also on their children, their grandchildren, and beyond. Things like childhood trauma, stress, and diet have a profound effect on how our genetic blueprint operates. Major stress, Poor nutrition and other factors during pregnancy can quite possibly affect not only the child, but potentially the grandchildren too. At CRI, we're not trying to tell people how to live their lives. We're simply saying that even if you were dealt a bad hand or have made adverse choices in the past, there's hope of a better future for you and the people you impact and influence when you become aware of how our brains develop and how our environment, experience, and interpretation of events affects us. Epigenetics is a new and fascinating science, and we are on the forefront of discovering how it affects you and how you can make a profound difference in your life and the lives of others.